I'm Steve Westfall, Channel Development Engineer. Today we're going to talk about safety switches and the differences between safety switches that Banner offers. And the following slides are going to cover each of the safety switch models, what types are available, and some of the brief info on each type of switch and each model and the applications that they might be used in. So these are the different categories of switches. And the mechanical switches typically are going to include a mechanism inside or on the outside that will insert into the main body of the switch assembly, or it'll have an extended attachment such as a limit style switch that must be depressed in a position to provide the closed contacts. All mechanical switches can be mounted either on a door or on the side of a door, on the hinge of the door, or whatever you may see here. So these are all mechanical switches in the first group right here. Okay, so let's talk about some of the mechanical switches. First of all, there are plastic switch families here, and when you look at all the available kits, which include the actuator that comes into the front and maybe a certain type of a quick disconnect or cable gland. There are 35 of those kits in our system. The advantages here are that they are very small, compact, but more importantly, very economical. So if the door is not that large, it's something that could be considered because you're not going to damage it as the actuator comes into the body of that switch. They have different types of actuators. As you see here, these are the ones for the smaller SI-LS83s and LS100s. And over here are the ones for the little bit larger SI-QS90s and QS75s. The big difference here, they look the same, but the smaller one, the QS75, does not contain the number of contacts internally that the 90 does. But there is also a special model that of a hinge here that's actually called a high-force adapter. This high-force adapter is special because it is reinforced to attach directly to the actuator that goes into these switches. It can hold the actuator in there a lot stronger. It's in the case that there might be mounted to a really heavy door. It's going to take a little bit more force to be able to pull that actuator out of there. So you don't want a typical actuator on a very heavy door because any type of movement on the door itself actually might pull it out, and that way it would look like you've opened up the door. So high force actuator is something that can be adjustable and set up on these two types of switches you see here. This happens to be showing off the ability of each one of these to simply take the head, remove it temporarily, rotate it in 90-degree variations, or actually be able to move the actuator head so that you can insert the actuator from the top as well. So a lot of different positions that can be handled with the setup of these switches here. Also, this is just showing what it looks like if you did happen to change the head position by taking it off and removing it and turning it so that the actuator, in this case, there's a small little access area that you take out, so now you have access for the actuator to come straight into this. So it's just a matter of the orientation of the switches on the door that makes the most sense. Okay, how about metal switch families? These are still very compact and cost-effective, but they are with a metal body on there, and that's going to be something that'll hold up a little bit better for some larger doors where the actuator coming in is going to be able to handle the stress of slight misalignment or whatever the case may be. These generally are going to be a little bit more expensive than the plastics, but they do have, again, a lot of actuator choices as you see here, as well as the fact that you can take these apart and move them around so that the actuation comes in at different degrees of entry. There happens to be a special one of these. It's called a SI-LM40 MKV. This comes just as you see it. It's got a trumpeter type head on it. What's great about that, with a flexible actuator head that comes into that, it's able to come in at different angles, whether it's coming from the top or the bottom. It's going to hit that trumpeter type head and move itself in position. So the great thing about it is, for very small doors where you need the ability to be able to turn that and catch the actuator, it's great for that type of application where the doors are slightly smaller and you need something that's going to be more flexible in that case.